Only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Where the haters at? Y'all bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got Hex, flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. It's lullaby music, really, right? It's hard to believe that something like this exists. I get it, but you just gotta come to terms with reality. It just exists.
This is Wales Only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what Hex has done. Boom. Oh, it's about to get funky. Funkier than you could have ever imagined. You know, Richard Hart is a boss. Hex is literally the best thing on the planet. It's simple mathematics. What's good, y'all? Let me know if you guys can hear me. Hope everybody's having an outstanding, Wednesday? So shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys got some questions, because it's going to last as long as your questions do. So make them good and make it last. That's what she said. In all seriousness, how you guys been? Hope you guys are settling in with your new realities, all that good stuff. I don't know what to make of all of the Johnny come lately. It seems like a lot of distractions, the usual. But you ultimately want to just have your ducks in a row. You don't want to get caught slipping. That's really the important thing. Let's see. Guys, get your questions in. I mean, I know it's only been like 3 minutes, but get your questions in. Why bears so gay? I don't know, man. That's one I don't have an answer to. Yeah, man. I don't think people really understand how crypto works. And that's all right. So that's the luxury of cryptocurrency. Once you actually understand, it doesn't really matter what everybody else is doing. In fact, what everybody else is doing becomes ultimately a benefit to you. Because, what are you going to do? Question here is, if I saw how quickly the Australian Parliament passed a digital ID bill. And the answer is, of course. That's just par for the course for Australia. I honestly don't even know what to think about that place. Used to have high regard for that place, but no longer. But shout out to everybody in the chat again. Over here in New York, they got all these faggot ass little wannabe soldiers in the subway. Nah, them motherfuckers don't got a clue what they're doing there. And that's exactly how things, that's how you get your Kent States and shit, right? That's how you get National Guardsmen shooting civilians. That's how people end up in jail. That's how you get caught up, right, this is one of these dumb questions, and I say dumb because you guys don't read and you don't understand, a lot of basic things, but you're putting yourself in a position to complicate your life because you don't read. And the question is, how would I cash out? Loan against my tokens or liquidity provide against a stable, and we're stable. I don't give a fuck about stables, and if I'm providing liquidity, it's because I'm making money. So if you're gonna cash out, just cash out, bro. I don't know. I really don't know what to tell you. You know, if you don't understand the RH ecosystem and you don't know how to cash out, I really can't answer that question for you. That's a that's a risk question, and I'm not your risk manager. You know what I'm saying? You got to figure that out because I don't look at stables the way everybody else does. So good luck. Um, Thank you for the $2 super chat, brother. Appreciate it. Why is XMR fake crypto? Thanks. And I think XMR should be Monero, right? Yeah. Hold on. Let me make sure here. Yeah. So okay. This is really simple. A cryptocurrency that's viable is one that is complete, right? It's one that you don't have to worry about answering the what if question. And that's what people do not understand. When you're looking at Hex, Pulse Chain, PulseX, Inc., there's nothing to question. The base case is the worst case. And the only thing that ultimately defines the price action of those coins is people's lack of understanding, right? Just like you see people buying all the Bitcoin and ETH, ultimately that's going to look very foolish. But right now it looks smart. But it's like I always say, you do things when you can, not when you have to. And nobody was looking at Bitcoin or ETH when they were trading at 1,500 and 15,000 respectively. Nobody was looking at them. So, you know, that's when you got to stop, right? And I say this all the time. You actually don't need charts to trade. All you need to understand is what's the prevailing sentiment. Once you understand the prevailing sentiment, all you have to do is go against it. Boom, winning, done. I literally did a stream on that. I don't think people caught on to that, but that's literally what sentiment checking is all about. That's why it's easy for me to call the tops and bottoms in a fluid, dynamic fashion with respect to our little ecosystem, because I just go off of what I see on Twitter. I don't need to even look at the chart. Typically 2 to 3 days or less, and I'm pretty much spot on. Because people are people, and markets function off of people. They don't function off of anything else. So even if it's a bot, that bot is going to be triggered on and off as often as that person wants it to be on and off. So, anyways, just to answer your question, um, that's why I don't consider a lot of coins to actually be crypto, because they're still in development phase. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not putting a single cent in some shit that can change. Like, this is not the stock market. This is software. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to buy software that you don't know if it's going to work tomorrow. Like, you're not paying for that. So I don't know why people think it makes sense to do so in crypto. But hey, more power to them. They think they understand what they're doing. And that's what makes a market. Yeah, pleasure, brother. Susie Q, what's up? Hope you are doing well. What am I buying? What makes me happy? What I'm buying is straightforward. RH ecosystem. So people understand. For me, crypto is long term. Period. That's my retirement account. I don't need a 401k. I don't need none of that. I don't need to be buying stocks for the long term, quote unquote. I don't need to do that. That's what I do crypto with. And I've explained this before. That was literally my first two, three streams. Like the fact that people are out here playing hourly charts, you're fucking stupid. Can't help you. I just can't. You're just wasting your time in crypto doing that. I don't care. I don't care. This is just a fact. Because in a long enough timeline, you're gonna look back and be like, damn, I wasted all that time sitting at that desk looking at those freaking charts. Doing what? Whole lot of nothing. So I like to stick to I trade other things. I trade the tradable markets. I don't trade crypto. Crypto is not a tradable instrument. People that trade crypto usually get fucked because they don't actually understand how markets work. Because they come over here under the premise of getting rich quick and thinking that they can do that, on a 5 minute chart for crypto. And unfortunately, it's not the case. So I really only buy RH coins. I don't buy anything else. I don't care to buy anything else. I don't know of anything else that's worth buying. And if I ever discover anything else that's worth buying, trust me, I will be the first to let people know. Maybe. It's not like a lot of people come in to watch my streams anymore anyway, because I'm not telling them what they want to hear. I'm telling them the truth. So people don't want to hear that, right? So they don't really come to the streams like that. So we'll see. But as of now, that's the only market to buy anything in long term. You guys got to really understand the big picture, and people do not understand the big picture. No matter how many times I explain it, and no matter how many ways I explain it, just don't. People want to be caught up in their little world, playing their little games, and that's what's gonna take them to sleep. You know, that's not what's gonna pay them bills. So they'll be all right. Not much we can do about it. So we just LOL from the sidelines and keep on stacking these chips. Pretty much. All right. We're 13 minutes in. No more questions as of yet, but I'll keep rambling on for a little bit. Maybe more people will pop in because it's only been 15 minutes. Um, but yeah, it's like it's very important that if you're gonna do this crypto thing, you really get the big picture because the last thing you want to do is have $1,000 stay $1,000 or worse. $1,000 only be 100,000 versus a million or more or whatever it could be. And people they just don't think forward. They don't. And this is ultimately what brings them down. And it's the same thing for all markets because you got to really have a plan set when you're engaging anything. Why are you doing what you're doing? You just doing it for fun? Like, no, you should be trying to make money or whatever it is, right? Whatever helps you get that respective W is what you should be doing. And that's not typically what people do. Good question. What gives me confidence that the masses will adopt the RH ecosystem? Well, it's pretty simple. When it comes to money, things need to work. They don't need to have the best marketing, and people don't understand that. So it's very simple. That's the answer. Um, Next question is, you have any interest in physical stuff like gold, silver, or worst case type of world? Well, I guess yeah, but given that I live in a city, I don't really have the capacity to store anything that's worthwhile. Like when shit hits the fan, if shit hits the fan, you really want to have guns, food, and ammo. Gold and silver isn't really gonna matter. So I don't think people really understand that. A reset. There is not gonna be any money. Your life is gonna be your money. Your brain is gonna be payment. Because using that motherfucker and being able to get through one life threatening situation from one to the next, that is gonna be currency in a worst case type of world. And I don't think people really understand that because gold and silver is not for that type of world. You're not exchanging money. There's not going to be a system in that scenario. So I think people need to recalibrate what they're thinking with respect to what a worst case scenario actually is or what it looks like. Worst case means everything is fucked, and that includes monetary exchange. So, I don't know what kind of worst case world people are thinking of where they think they're gonna be buying shit. Like you're not gonna be buying a motherfucking thing in a worst case world. You're not. There's not gonna be any conveniences. There's not gonna be like none of that. Like people are out here thinking like we still gonna be online twittering and shit. Like, no, man, enjoy the shit while it lasts. Cause if it don't, well, we're not sure it's gonna come back. So, those are the things to think about. Base case, you want to have gold or silver in conjunction with crypto, right? And the reason for that is because what happens if there is an actual reset to gold? Do you really think gold is going to stay at $2,000? It literally cannot. So either two things happen. Either the value of all goods and services, like everything that gets reduced by a factor of 10, 100 or more. Literally, not even joking. So your net worth gets reduced. In conjunction with that, everything gets reduced. That's deflation. That's the scary word that these economists and all these bootleg economists and bootleg fucking whatever they want to claim to be, analysts, whatever. That's the boogeyman word for them. Because what that means is everything gets normalized, everything is affordable, everything makes sense again. You got to understand that the purchasing power of the dollar is the biggest hindrance for the world right now because that is keeping a lot of people down. That really keeps a lot of people down in numerous ways. Numerous ways. So that's the deal with silver and gold. It's not for a worst case world. It's for a base case world where there is a monetary reset, which could actually happen. So that's a likely probable scenario given where we stand in the world today. So you got to have gold and silver in conjunction with crypto, but you really got to have the right crypto. Because if you're not in the right crypto, then you're just wasting your time. People treating this shit like it's slots, good luck to them. I don't know what to tell you. All right, let's see. We want to talk about the explosion before the hit. Yeah. Nobody, yeah. That shit is so obvious. And, whatever, man. Um, I'm 4 years after Rona, like, I just don't give a fuck. I'm not here to educate people anymore. You know what I mean? Um, if you just want to say stupid, good luck because you're just next. And that's where we're at. We're at that point in time where it's weed smoking, not giving a fuck type of motherfuckers that are going to rule the world. Because guess what? We're the only ones that have the dexterity, the ambidexterity, the ability The just I mean just being robust, man. That shit is key in life. And people do not respect that. They want to be in their little fucking pigeonhole. I don't think that really works in a real world scenario. Cause you know, while you might be able to get away with it in certain instances, um, there are other instances in which getting away with that is just not reality, because what if you need some information that you just don't have, or you're not expected to have but you need? Like, what do you do then? You just asked out, right? Not much for you to do. So the people that continually go against the obvious and love to believe the narratives that are sold to them, they're the ones that die first. They're the ones that get the death jabs and shit like that. So, move on, brother. Don't waste your time. Life's too short to waste on people like that. You know what I mean? So, how to analyze the DXY? That's actually very simple. Um, how can I explain it in the simplest terms? So think about it like this. From a fundamental perspective, the reason for the dollar's existence is to provide power to those that wield it, from the US perspective, right? So when anything in the dollar happens, the value of things literally goes in accordance with whatever happens with the dollar. So the variation comes in understanding what offsets that impact. So, for example, when there are serious macro headwinds that are apparent in the market, you're not going to stop gold from going up, even if the dollar is going up, which is what you are seeing right now. You are literally seeing dollar and gold going up at the same time. That's not supposed to happen. Crude, dollar going up, same time. Not supposed to happen. So how the hell does something like that happen? Right? And that's when understanding fundamental factors comes into play. And that comes with time and experience. Even if I tell them to you, you might not see that as being true. And that's the weird thing about the market. Like, I could tell you and prove to you in my mind, from my perspective, that this is what moves the dollar, or this is what moves crude. And you might not agree, even though I'm showing you straight up. And the reason for that is because you might have a different fundamental perspective or understanding than I do. That's simple. And here's the thing, you could be right, even though I'm right. And that's the beautiful thing about markets that people don't understand and don't really reflect on enough. Everybody's vantage point is significant. It's all about understanding yourself enough to understand how to take advantage of that vantage point. I'm the type of person that I know if I was able to trade on the floor, oh, I'd be fucking filthy. Cause I'm just reading people. I don't even need to look at the chart. I wouldn't need none of that. I wouldn't need it. Because I would just watch people. The people give away everything. That's how you literally just sit there and make the kind of calls that I make, because it's not hard and I'm not the only one making them. Plenty of other people make them. So that's really how you learn how to analyze something like the dollar. You got to look at what drives that up and down price action, right? Those are the components that you have to really try to understand. And here's the best part. You can transfer that skill to any market and you will automatically figure out what moves that market. And here's an even better part. Once you realize that markets are dynamic and fluid, you come to realize that once you figure out how to figure out a market, you can continuously figure out markets even as they change in real time, because every market changes for a reason all the time, right? Now, what's hard for people to understand is that prices reflect fundamentals. Fundamentals don't reflect prices. So, what I mean is that the market is going to put the fundamental reality into the fore before the market understands what's going on. So, if you're astute enough to be forward thinking, kind of like I like to try to be, because it's hard, it's not easy. Um, you can find a way to put yourself in a position where you're reading the market and you're not reacting, right? Because that's the thing that's hard for people. That's what I mean by you buy things and sell things when you can, not when you have to. Because when you feel that you have to, that is called FOMO. That means you're late. That means you missed the boat, you missed the trade, whatever it is, you missed it. You're done. Tap out. And I don't mean on a long-term basis. I mean from that moment, from a sentiment perspective, right? So for example, if let me pull up the dollar now. Why not? Hold on. All right. And again, I'm just inverting the euro here. So let me just get rid of myself. So I'm not important here. All right. So if you look at this chart, right, this is just the euro inverted, which is basically the dollar. Um, and if you look at this chart, you look at the profile distribution, it looks similar to what? Oh shit, crude. Ain't that funny? I mean, take a good look. That's a reality of markets that most people do not even reflect on, right? And that's recent because if you, as you can see, prior to 22, that market wasn't lined up like it is now, where it's obviously correlated, right? Before they were decorrelated and other factors were impacting the price. And if you guys remember, this was the Ukraine nonsense at the time. Let's go back here. Um, so this entire time, as you're seeing the dollar going down in value, because that's what this is reflecting. Um, hold on, I'm confusing myself. Euro USD, yeah. This is the dollar going down in value, and right now it's recalibrating, right? Because think about it like this: when you're looking at a market, there's two facets to the market. There's the physical reality, which is the price action, and then there's the fundamental reality, which is what's driving those prints that you're seeing on the chart. Those prints are derived from inputs. Something is making somebody sell that dollar down and buy that euro up, right? And this is why you're seeing the dollar going down and the euro going up right here in this chart. And now what's happened is something has changed in the market as of October, September 2022 that caused the market to stop going down. Now, if we zoom out, we'll get an idea of whether this market is really settling down for a reversal or just marking time for another rollover, right? Because this is what we've seen time and again since 2014, because we're in a downtrend. During 2007 through 2014, that 7 year period where you saw the cold quote. I don't know if you guys even remember this. You guys might be too young for the market's perspective, but there were currency wars like 2 times during that period where it was acknowledged in the press and all of that. Because, they like to make a big deal out of whatever they can make a big deal out of. But this whole time, what was happening? The market was actually going sideways. It was a range of play. That's what was actually going on. And then ultimately, the market broke out of that range, right? But now it looks like the market is preparing or setting itself up on a bullish structure to move in a reversal fashion, which is not what's happened before, right? If you look at the setups before, they were not anything like this. They were more lackadaisical. They lollygagged along, went up, lollygagged a little bit here, then just ripped up. But here, it ripped up, then went sideways, retraced, held it. Right. So now what you want to see is the market make higher highs from this perspective. Right. And this is all things that you come to understand with time, by understanding how markets move and shift and change with time. Right. Because if we look at, this is the dollar. I'm going to now change to the dollar itself on the chart just to make a point. Now this is looking different because it's not inverted. It's just a straight up dollar. If I zoom out, you'll see that inversion here, or that sideways price action down here. Now, again, this chart is just making higher lows over time and higher highs, right? And that's ultimately where you want to continue to see. And at this point, right after all this sideways, what you don't want to see is a lower high, or excuse me, a lower low relative to the most recent. You want to see a higher low, or a higher high, excuse me. That's what you typically want to see the market make its way towards. And I've already identified a couple of zones where the market should retrace to 105.70 area. And I guess this is, 106 and a quarter to a half, I guess. But those are just areas where the market sold off from all the way back in 2023, when the first significant bear move occurred after the huge rate run. Because this move here, from July through September, if we go to a rates chart, what are we going to find there? Let's look at just regular price. July through September, right? 2023. I mean, just look at this here. Straight down. Right. So what this reflects is people exchanging treasuries this period for dollars outright. That's what this reflects. Because what this is showing is an interest rate increase because the price is going down. So if we go to a 30-year yield, you're going to see that this was going up from July to, hold on, I'm just going to get I always find the wrong thing. Yeah, here we go. Date range. Boom. Pretty much bottom to top. For breakout to the top. 114 days. July, October. All right, we go back to the dollar, DX. And we have bottom 12 July week. And then, excuse me, guys, the top of week of 18 September. So that's approximately what, 90 days or so. So that's a little bit shorter than what I clocked on the actual rate. Let's see. Probably just looks different on the chart. Yeah, 78 days versus I think 114 is what I picked up here. Yep. But at any rate, the point is pretty obvious. You can see these relationships in the data if you look, right? And that's the thing. It's about your understanding of what you're seeing on that chart. Because again, it's like I just told you guys. You look at crude. Crude is going up, but goddamn, so is a dollar. So how does that work? Who has an explanation for that? A lot of pundits will give you a bunch of BS. They won't just tell you outright that it's just liquidity preference. People just want dollars right now because they're scared. They're afraid of what's going on in the market. And the interesting thing is if you look up money market balances, which is where cash typically sits to just accrue interest, and interest is pretty juicy right now, 5% on cash. Um, why not? Right? I mean, no risk at 5%. I mean, you're not getting 5% for free in many places nowadays. So, things to understand. Tell us about the banks. What's happening today? That's kind of a general question. But what I think is happening is I think they're doing what they did with mortgages back in 2008. I think that they're just holding them steady, trying to inject as much capital in them as possible until they are able to let them fail. And then good luck to everyone because I don't know how things are going to work. But I think that that's what's going to happen because, they have no interest in letting go of the power that they have. And that's ultimately what's true. So that's what I think is what's happening. If you've seen The Big Short, this is the part of the movie where all of the guys that have been making the short trade on real estate are getting pissed off because the value of their trade isn't going up when it should be. So that's what's going on right now. Is the Federal Reserve a need a protagonist or an unwanted antagonist to decentralized crypto? Well, the interesting thing is that I've always been of the frame of mind that crypto is a double-edged sword. We don't know where it came from. We don't know anything. And what that means is that we can't really confirm its origin, its purpose, none of that. So the best thing we can do as a group of people that understand its upside, because that's the key is understanding the upside. There really is no downside to the true technology. The only downside is people not knowing what's true. And if you know what's true, well, shit, there's no downside. When you look at Hex and how it works, it doesn't matter the chain, right? All that matters is there going to be activity on that chain significant enough for you to realize capital gains, right? And then that's pretty much it, because it works. It doesn't not work, so pretty straightforward. Um, when you're looking at other protocols, because this is software, you don't know if it works until something happens, and then you're like, "Oh shit, it don't work." And that's common. That's not even uncommon. So, I don't know what role the Fed actually plays in this, but I know that these folks love to do the Hegelian dialectic. They provide the solution while creating the problem, and crypto is a solution, but they created fiat. So, what do we do? Do we dismiss the double-edged reality of that tool just because it could have came from them and not use it to our advantage? I think that's foolish. Why not? Because that's the thing. It's just like the internet. They might have created it to impose their digital domain, the digital dominance over this domain, but that's really a function of how techno literate you are, right? And that's the same thing with everything. You know, we live in a world now where your level of success is literally going to be a function of your capacity to not get lied to. Rona was really round one. And I talk about that all the time because guess what? There is no better reference, guys. I'm sorry. That's the best reference. Everything is just like Rona. You either know or you get told a lie by somebody that wants you to believe some nonsense. And that's why I don't respect shitcoin shillers, period. Because they're just shilling you the vaccine and you just don't know it. So, stick to real crypto and you don't really got to give a fuck about who's doing what. Pretty basic shit. And again, shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's see. When I realized how the T-share system works and what the capabilities of it are and could be, what was your honest forward-looking analysis? Well, it's pretty basic. And I mean it in the sense that it just is software that does what it's supposed to do. And once I understood the bare bones construction of the coin, and what I mean by that is Hex is a bonding curve token. And the implication from that fact is the coin can only function and exist and thrive if it is being used. If people are not staking Hex, then it will definitely fail. So, why am I so confident in that it will exist? Well, I'm a student of things that, you know, can outstand, the game of attrition. Um, I learned that if you linger around long enough in a market where when you really look at the big picture, there's only one way that things can go. And that's hard to see sometimes. But when you can see it, you better hold on tight and never let go. And that's exactly what this crypto stuff is. So when you look at the landscape of the market, you know, what is better than RH ecosystem? On its plain face, without market manipulation, without the manipulation of information, without any fucking human intervention, without any homos in the fray. What's better than RH's ecosystem? And the answer is nothing. I mean, people do not comprehend that if banks knew this shit existed, I don't know what would happen. All this shit is non-plus. It's irrelevant. It's really irrelevant. So, you know, irrelevant. Irrelevant. Irrelevant because you don't understand the market. You're acting like Hex has some type of fair game clause embedded in it. Like people actively do not want people to see it. So I don't think you actually understand what's going on. SEC shit is irrelevant. In fact, it actually adds advertising power. So let them continue pretending to have a clue. I already explained what was happening with that literally 3 days after this shit happened. So irrelevant. Irrelevant. Like if you understand cryptocurrency, You don't waste your time concerning yourself with stupid third parties that have no impact on the actual value of the protocol. People's perception is not reality. And in the future, reality is based on what's real. And what's real is what I'm saying, not what other people are making up. And what I'm saying can be confirmed and verified. It's your job to do that part though, because I know. What you're talking about, SEC and all that shit, you should probably read because I don't think you understand how it works because that's irrelevant as fuck. And that's the answer to that. Um, what's the best farming strategy to preserve PLSX, PLS bag, and make significant cash flow? Well, I don't know where the hell you've been, but it's been about 10 months where you could have just been doing that, and you should use the farming calculator to determine what strategy works best for you, because that's how you do it. And if you really have to stick to what you think is the strategy you want, you can't have cash flow and think you're going to be, providing LP for Hex. Doesn't make sense. So you got to figure out what you want, set your capital aside for that endeavor, and tackle it. You can't be here pissing in the wind thinking that makes sense. And this is why people are scared of farming. You got to understand the market and understand that you can't lose. For example, RH ecosystem is the best one that is out there, period. What's the difference between RH's ecosystem and everybody else's? Everybody else's gets the WEF fucking stamp of approval because everything else is just like ETH, except for Bitcoin. But everything else is just like ETH, period. Optimism, Avalanche, all them fucking shit chains, ghost chains, ghost chains. All of them are just ETH with a different name. Period. So, or BNB. So, what market is there? There isn't one, right? There actually is not a market. And these are things that if you're not really paying attention to the big picture, you're going to miss that because you're going to pretend that all these other shit coins that they're pitching and pushing out for you to just buy and engage in and distract you from the shit that matters. It's not going to be around in a year. It's not. It's not. Because what do? They don't do anything. Nothing. Now, when you farm, what's a couple of things you could be doing? You could just be building up a bag. You could be farming for cash flow, like you're saying here. You could be exiting a position or trying to size up a position or something, right? You could do something specific. So you as an individual need to determine what it is you actually want to accomplish with your farming. When I elected my farming, my goal was ROI. I didn't give a fuck where it was at because I'm in RH's ecosystem. So I don't give a fuck if I'm farming DAI PLS. I don't give a fuck if I'm farming USDT PLS. I don't give a fuck if I'm farming what's another high yielding farm? Let me just look it up because I just can't remember off the top of my head anymore. I mean, I just don't understand. You really got to do what makes sense for you, and that's it. You can't listen to other people that don't actually have a fucking clue, because that is exactly what happens out here. Bunch of people without a clue talk shit, and they misguide people to do the wrong things. Yep. USDC, USDT, and die. So those are the stable coin pools. And again, what's the objective? Make as much ink, cash flow as possible. Really basic. At one point, making five. So you just have to understand what you're doing when you're engaging these farms and have a strategy that makes sense with the age of the farm, right? So, for example, when a lot of new shit coins open up and they claim to have these farms, people hit me up. You know, I don't give a fuck about your shit coins, but I tell people, when you're farming these new shit chains or whatever, you need to be in often and early, but that's it, because you will get drained out. Look at previous examples. With the RH ecosystem, you don't gotta worry about none of that. I've been farming no problem for almost a full year. No problem. So, don't know what to say besides understand your strategy. Don't be a pussy and execute accordingly. And then once you start seeing results, makes sense, you know, to be changed. I hope that makes sense, man. And I think I'm having Chrome trouble again. All right. The greatest reset narrative is a way. Yeah. Yes. That's exactly what it is. I've been saying that for 4 years, bro. Yes. You sure? That's crazy because all these Foxicans were saying that everything they was doing was for adoption. So maybe you should go talk to them. Go talk to somebody that gives a fuck. You know what I'm saying? They're the ones. Dun-dun-dun-dun. That's exactly what we want. We want all those homos that were lying to leave. So that's right. Bye. And when everything else fails and the only thing ticking is X, that's when adoption comes. If you knew anything, you would know that. But keep complaining. That's what you did. That's what you do. Thanks for the super chat, brother. Some of my Hex on boards ask if Hex is dead. I asked them, did they stake for 15 years on ETH chain? Yes, then it's not dead. ETH proof POW will vote lower fees. I don't know anything about that. As far as I know, POW is a dead chain. Literally. Unlike ETH, not a dead chain. So I don't know. But yeah, ETH clearly is not going to die anytime soon. So, that's probably a good chain to be buying X on. Let's see. I literally just did that. So, good luck, man. Let's see. I'm not seeing any more questions. Just a bunch of loser chat. Let's see. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Nothing is free. Yeah, well, it takes understanding to do that. So, yes, sir. Yeah, it takes some understanding for people to get that. So I just don't bother engaging people that are just complaining. It's nothing to worry about. People want to complain, let them complain. Who gives a fuck? Thank you for the super chat, Crypto Winnable. Buddy with the Hex logo is scared, man. Go look at what people said about BTC. Exactly. Tech prevailed over time. Hex will do the same. Pretty simple. Yeah, I don't really care about people like that say, just whatever. It's down today. Oh my god. I'm never going to make money with my hex. Oh, shut up, bro. Like, you just sound like a fucking moron. If you don't understand the long-term game, then ask questions with respect to that. You're just complaining about what some other dude is doing or not doing. Like, this is crypto. Nobody works for nobody in crypto. So get the fuck out of here with that talk. You clearly do not understand what this is. So either you learn what this is or you just get the boot. I mean, I don't really care, but you're now annoying me because you just keep talking shit. Let's see. Yeah, if you've never farmed practice with a small amount, grease your wheels, so to speak. But you're in El Dorado. If you don't get that, I don't know what to tell you. I said this when Pulse Chain launched. I called all the bullshit that's happening now when Pulse Chain launched. Like, it was so obvious. Even when the sacks were happening, like, it was obvious years ago. So all these people getting rugged and fucked up, hats off to them. Done told them. LOL. Ha 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 ha. Don't care. Don't feel nothing for you. Good job. Because you were told what to not do. So you clearly wanted to fuck your pockets up. You didn't farm. You didn't practice on the testnet. You didn't do shit. You just talk shit online for fucking 2 years. 3 years, whatever the fuck it was. Like, get out of here. All right, we out, people. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Yeah, you can't help people. So, the fact that people are this dumb and can't understand that this is like better than owning real estate. I mean, how can you help somebody that's that dumb? You cannot. Because they're too busy worrying about the little nickels that they're going to make right now. I need my 5 cents right now. Well, you're never going to get it. Because you are not even looking for $1. So you're definitely not getting 5 cents. So good luck with that. You know what I'm saying? Good luck with that. Rookies. All right. Peace, people. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. And we're just not playing the Everybody Done Lied remix. We're done with that. We out. This is Whales Only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back.
The information displayed in this broadcast is known to.
This is Whales Only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what Hex has done. Boom. Oh, it's about to get funky. Funkier than you could have ever imagined. Richard Hart is a boss. Hex is literally the best thing on the planet. It's simple